You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
All right, folks, good evening. It is Tuesday, June 19th. Almost forgot what day it was, 2018. And we're live right now on KLNradio.com. I am one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. She's the other half of the crew, Miss Jen Homestead. It's been a while since you've heard from us, at least consistently, because every week it's something. Usually lately it's been me, because I have been fighting allergies and half the time can't talk. Still kind of having the same problem, but I decided to triple up on allergy meds today, so we'll see how long that works. Good evening, Miss Jen. How are you?
I am doing okay. My horns lost in the College World Series today, so I am a little bit down, but other than that, I can't really complain.
I mean, you could, but nobody listens. Just kidding.
Ha ha ha.
That's me. I complain all the time, and everybody's like, shut up. I'm like, damn it. Oh, so, yeah. So, anyway. Why is Corey Lewandowski back on Twitter trends? What did he do now? Oh, God, I'm not even sure.
Oh, no. I don't want to know.
Oh, apparently he stepped in it. Corey Lewandowski says womp womp about girl with Down syndrome being separated from mom at the border. If he literally
good grief.
If he literally said womp womp, dude deserves to be shot.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's a real class act, you know.
And the worst thing is, I actually support 95% of what's going on at the border, and then they say something crazy like this, and I'm like, you're not helping. You're really not helping.
Yeah, no, I can't stomach that kind of crap.
It's just, I don't know. I had all of these things mapped out that I was gonna say, and then I opened up this, and I'm just like, I don't even know where to go now, because somebody that supposedly has an R beside his name is acting like a moron again. I don't know. I mean, I'm over all of it because this is the thing. If you go back and you look at the audio and the video clips from Clinton, Bush, Obama, they all said the same things. That they were going to beef up border security, that they were going to put more money into border security. Half of the things the Democrats are complaining about right now were passed under Bill Clinton in 1997. The only difference is other presidents have chosen not to enforce them. Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, is shining a big bright spotlight on a very broken system that we have and is basically putting it in Congress's hands to fix it. Now the Dems want to play kick the can and say, why can't the president just sign an executive order instead of making us do our jobs? That pisses me off.
Well, not only that, but they have been screaming and kicking about this. And then a couple things come up that seem like, decent resolutions, or at least a start on sorting out some of this mess down there. Legislation, very reasonable legislation introduced by Ted Cruz. And they show their true colors and where their feelings really lie, because they start, screaming about how, they're not going to comply with him. There's articles out today about how it's really a cynical ploy by Cruz, and don't believe him, don't trust him. He still doesn't care about the children, even though he put forth this legislation that would not allow families to be separated that weren't under, some sort of criminal charge. And still they're coming out and saying, nope, because you know what? They don't want to compromise. And they certainly don't want to go along with something suggested by the GOP because they have hung their hat on this right now. That they think that they are going to gain votes out of this. They think that they're going to have this be part of their, momentous blue wave, and they're really not interested in finding a true solution. So ergo, they really don't care about these children that they, go on TV and pretend to choke back tears over, because they're not willing to work with the other side over a very reasonable and rational piece of legislation that does a lot of the things that they say that they want. But because it was introduced by the evil lion Ted Cruz, they refuse to acknowledge it and will not support it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, if it were me, if I were the Republicans, I would still put it up for a vote and see where the vote goes. Because if it doesn't pass and it's predominantly Democrats that vote against it, they can actually. What I would do first is I would do exactly what Barack Obama always said he was going to do. I would put the legislation up for everybody to read for a minimum of 72 hours. It's online. Go read through it. You can see word for word what it is that we're planning on doing. And then in 72 hours, we're going to hold a vote. And then if it doesn't pass, you'll know who really doesn't want to fix this mess. That would be what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of it has been released, and Cruz's office has been very forthcoming about it. And I just think that, at this point, even that won't really work for them. Unfortunately, in my opinion, because the media is so sold on the fact that the Republicans hate children and hate women and hate families, and they are doing this on purpose. And even if they are suggesting, or even if they are suggesting a solution, or even if they are expressing outrage at any of it, that they couldn't possibly be genuine, because that's just not what Republicans do, because they're all evil Hitler, Trump admin, arm extensions. It's the hyperbole is so ridiculous, and the media is not interested in actually reporting anything. They're interested in influencing policy. They are interested in their own agendas and their own narratives, and that's just where we are right now. So I think that the bill could say that I think the bill could say that we will never separate families and we will put them up in hotels, and Democrats would still, on our dime, and Democrats would still vote against it, and they would still cry wolf, because they just, they can't let the Republicans have a win on something like this. They own the social issues. They own the outrage over immigration and over treatment of immigrants, whether they be illegal or otherwise. They own those topics, and they want to be the ones that are the saviors. And they just cannot allow a Republican or this Congress, this Republican-controlled Congress, or this Republican administration to gain any credit off of doing what is right by these people. They just can't.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's part of what's honestly driving me a little bit crazy, because, and I'm not saying the Republicans have not done this in the past themselves, but this isn't an issue where we should be just doing politics as usual and saying, well, we can't have this pass now because we don't want the other side to get any credit. I don't give a damn who gets credit. I just want our border situation fixed once and for all. I want our immigration policies reformed to the point where we have a streamlined path to citizenship, so everybody that wants to come into this country can do so legally without it costing them a fortune. We have technology available today that can streamline the overall process to make sure that we have easier access to get into our country. What I also want to see this administration do is cut all the funding to all the countries that are currently coaching their people on how to game our system and telling them word for word what to say and what services to apply for when they get here. The reason we're having such an issue right now is because every country south of us is telling everybody that wants to leave, hey, this is what you do. You go to America, you tell them you want asylum. Once you get into the States, you do this, and this. They'll give you housing, food stamps, medical care, whatever you need. They will take care of you. That's the problem. We have hundreds of thousands of people that are being coached on their country, by their country, how to crash our system and how to crash the gate to get in here, because they understand immigration law. By immigration law, it is illegal for us to turn away somebody that's requesting asylum. But the issue is we now have so many people requesting asylum that our ingress and egress points are so overfilled to capacity that we don't have any way to process everybody. So now they're sneaking across the border instead of coming in the right way, and then they're ticked off because now that they're sneaking across the border, the Trump's administration has entered into a zero-tolerance policy for people to come across the border not using a port of entry, and has started prosecuting it instead of it being a catch-and-release program. But whether you
to be fair, part of that strain was put on by ourselves because we did close ports of entry that had previously been open. There's so many moving parts to all of this, including the often overlooked fact that there are embassies, U.S. embassies across many of these countries, and several of them have multiple embassies within their country, like the 6 that are in Mexico, where you can go and apply for asylum before you ever have to reach the border. Those kinds of things are happening. The other thing that's happening with the kids is that this is always an issue. As someone who lives in Texas, I've known about this issue ongoing since I was like in the 3rd grade, that there are so many people that there are so many unaccompanied minors that end up across this border. And I don't know the number in this particular, in the most recent weeks under this particular current issue, but it is an ongoing issue for our border security and for any administration to have to address that doesn't get that much coverage often, where there are just a lot of unaccompanied minors. Sometimes they're coming, they're technically accompanied, but they're coming with a 14 to 19-year-old, maybe even 20-year-old older sibling, cousin, aunt, family friend, someone along those lines that's not actually their parent or guardian, and usually they are also underage. They just happen to be the oldest of the children or something, and they are coming over here and under the hopes that they won't be turned away because they are minors, but they are left unaccompanied and they have approached unaccompanied. So that's a real issue to address too. And if a big chunk of these numbers is coming from that kind of scenario, I'd like to know what that is, because it vastly changes what the narrative is here and what is going on down there. And I know that is something that happens much more regularly than I think people understand. And this has not just happened during this administration. It's been going on ever since. I have been aware of it since Bush Sr. was in office. So as a small child, I knew that this was an issue. So there's just a lot of things at play that are not being given equal, attention, and it's not being carefully considered and reported on. It's just all, it's all about the the emotional tug and being able to throw around accusations and make really strong and bold statements with very little to go on. And that's where the media continues to fail us, in that they are so interested in promoting some certain agenda and rightfully outraged over some things sometimes, but as any human being would be. But they fail to really dig deep into these matters while claiming to be hard-hitting journalists, and that is a problem.
It's a huge problem and that's part of the issue. I've seen people that are actually members of the press that actually work for newspapers that aren't even doing research before they start talking about things. They don't have any idea what it is that they're actually talking about. That's like I was in an argument with somebody who was, I don't remember which paper they were with, but they were screaming up and down about the picture of the kid in the cage and how this is terrible and this has all happened under Trump and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, did you bother to fact check this before you went on your rant? He's like, what are you talking about? Picture's fake. It was a protest picture taken in 2015. The parents were aware the child was in a cage. They're the ones that put the child in the cage. Well, it looks pretty real to me, but it's not. This is what sparked most of this outrage, was a picture that was faked from 2015 that somehow never really made it into the news cycle until now, and everybody's like, oh my God, look what Donald Trump's doing, he's putting kids in cages. These kids in these facilities are living better than some of the children that are currently citizens in this country. Let that sink in for just a second.
Well, and I really hate how, how people have made it so emotionally charged, and I'm not saying it's not an emotional issue, and I know it really is for a lot of people, but just the words being used, like saying cages instead of detention center, or holding center, holding cells, holding rooms, holding quarters, whatever. And they're saying all of these outrageous things. They're comparing it to concentration camps, and they're just being absolutely disingenuous, and quite frankly, they're insulting. It's so insulting to those that suffered at the hands of Nazis to compare this to Nazism and compare it to the concentration camps like Auschwitz, which is an ongoing theme here with a lot of liberals and especially journalists lately. It's so hard to take them then seriously when they actually do maybe find something, or finally do say something that is without hyperbole and is somewhat telling the truth. You keep blowing your credibility, and why should I listen? And why should I, care about what it is that you're saying? Because I can't trust you. I can't believe you. And that's the real problem here. I don't necessarily trust or believe Trump either, but I don't trust the media. So I'm making my own decisions and coming to my own conclusions. And I am probably more on the kind of, I don't know, compassionate side of this issue, and I think that there are some things being done that can be avoided and are not exactly very becoming of a country such as ours. But I also know that there are a lot of, like I said before, there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things at play, and I know for certain that a lot of those people that are actually down at the border working and having to deal with these extremely, I don't know, it is such a, tenuous situation. I mean, it seems like it is just so intense and extremely volatile in a lot of ways. And one wrong move, one wrong step could blow up in everybody's faces. And so I know for sure that they are doing the best that they can. People are going to make mistakes, of course, but the people having to be down there in the thick of this and that have been for decades doing this kind of work, I feel for them that they are getting treated like they are Gestapo.
And that's the thing that nobody's really talking about. I mean, I saw a meme that somebody put out today, and I'm not going to give them any credit for doing so, that basically outlined in comic strip form what someone should do if a border agent tried to take their child away from them. And it involved stabbing them and ripping their heart out and showing it to the other agents and telling them, this is what's going to happen to you if you try to take my child. This is the world we live in today.
Yep. Yeah, and that was seen as, and then they tried to play it off as if that was satire, and what sick planet that is satire, where you're, oh, y'all, LOL, just kidding. Y'all shouldn't take it so seriously. It's called satire because I was just, making fun of ICE or something. And yeah, I mean, it's just that's where we are right now, is that people feel comfortable posting stuff like that and act actually surprised when people are appalled and say no and report your tweet or whatever they're doing to stand up to you. Instead, they mocked more people and made it seem like everyone else was the stupid ones, which was utterly absurd because the strip was just gross. But there are a lot of people that think that right now. And there are a lot of people that have compared us to all sorts of things that they legitimately think that we there was a tweet yesterday. Ron Perlman tweeted about how...
Vagisil ad? Sorry.
What?
You mean his latest Vagisil ad?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he tweeted and said that, the United States was among one of the worst human rights abusers. Blah, blah, blah. One of the worst human rights abusers in the country. And I'm sorry, but that is not even, that is unhinged. Unhinged. Sorry, I said the country, I meant in the earth. We are already among the worst abusers of human rights on this earth. And we are inches away from being investigated by the Hague for our newly formed fascist ways. All of this in the 510 days of his twisted regime. That is so over the top and ridiculous that I can't even begin to count the number of ways. But what I just said was, this is not a serious person. I've about had it with this privileged BS. Yes, privilege is a luxury that has afforded them the luxury to do so from smartphone and leather recliner while watching a free press on a big screen TV. How dare you insult those suffering true human rights abuses as a way of daily life? How dare you trivialize the truly unimaginable atrocities in dozens of countries across the globe? And how dare you minimize the effect this has on women and minorities? Get all the way screwed. But there's more and more of that all the time, and it's not just these fringe people. It is becoming a part of, daily affirmations and statements and part of their discourse from some people that lead our headline news. So I know that this is a situation that needs to be solved, and I don't know what the right solution is, and I don't think there is one right solution, but there's got to be something done to handle what's going on at our border. Acting as pretending, or even if you're not pretending, even if you truly believe it, then I encourage you to go get a psych eval. But, pretending that that this situation equates us to all of these horrible moments in history and various fascist countries is just not even a serious claim.
It's terrifying when you stop and think about it, that we have so many people that are basically saying that we have been one of the worst human rights violators in the world. And this isn't a single person that has this belief. He's the loudest person screaming it, but he's not alone. If you look at that tweet, it was liked and retweeted like thousands of times. So the fact that we have so many people that think this about this country, even though we are the ones that typically do everything that we can to try to make sure that everybody else is treated as fairly as possible, and we try to take in as many people as we can until we get to the point where we have all of these countries that are coaching people on what to say as soon as they get here because they're guaranteed entry into the country. And now we're basically overloaded, and they're like, well, now they're turning people away that are requesting asylum. Well, there's about 1 million different ways that you can request asylum. Why are these people putting their children with human traffickers, having them travel thousands of miles instead of having them go to an embassy and say, look, I can't make it right now, but my child really needs to get out of this country. Can you guys help us? We need asylum for the child, and I will work on the rest of it later. There are ways to do this, that there are policies and procedures in place so that we're not inundating the border. And the simple fact of the matter is we need to seriously consider removing any funding from countries that are coaching their people that they want to send up here on how to get through our border. It really is that simple. This is another way that we can curtail the flow of this stuff, because we can stop making it profitable for countries to tell their citizens how to get here so they can earn money here to send it back into their economy down there. We're actually supporting all of the South American and Central American countries right now because everybody that wants to come up here is coming up here as a migrant worker, asking for asylum, being guaranteed entry into the country, and sending 80 to 95% of what they make back home to the people that are there so they can put it back into their country's economies. And everybody's wondering why these countries are coaching people on how to get through our border.
Well, it's not even just that. Like, let's just even go back to where people applying for asylum. Okay, yes, we have already covered that they have multiple options in doing so. But a lot of these people, and by the way, if I just think about it as a human being coming from someplace else and possibly someplace that's like an utter crap hole, or there's violence all the time, or I'm being persecuted by my government, or could be persecuted in the future, or if it's war torn by the drug lords, if I think about it in those terms, then them coming and seeking asylum, even if they have little to no basis for a case, even if they know they have little to no basis for a case, what the hell do they have to lose? Might as well come, try to see if they can get it. If by the grace of God they do, great. If they don't, they're no worse off than they were before. So I, as a person, I can I can look at that and understand why they would come. But this is the thing that also isn't being reported. Just because someone cries asylum, because they want asylum, just because they apply, just they will get it. And our process is actually pretty strict and rigorous on this front. And so we can cry all day long, oh, they're just seeking asylum. Well, that doesn't mean they're all going to be accepted. And we have standards and we have processes and we have procedures on this front. And I know that that's part of why some people are like, well, the 14-day thing that Ted Cruz is suggesting isn't near enough time to build your case properly. But they're also not realizing that so many of these people don't have a case at all. They know that they don't, but they're just grasping at straws here. And I don't really blame them. But just because a country is going through some bad crap does not mean that anybody that comes from that country to the U.S. border automatically gets granted asylum. It's just not the way it works. And by the way, for all of this BS about us not taking in refugees and since World War II, more refugees have found homes in the United States than any other nation. And more than 2 million have come here since before Reagan was in office. So, we have allowed for a lot of refugees that this is specifically calling about refugees that seek asylum and are granted it. So 2 million people since World War II and upwards, and 2 million people since 1980. That is a lot of asylum statuses that we have granted. So let's not pretend like we are some heartless, crappy country that is just being stern and doesn't want immigrants and just hates everybody from other countries. We've been extremely generous, and that is not what's going on here now. We are not being generous here now. It is being overwhelmed. There are people that are fleeing Central and South America and Mexico, and for good reason, and I understand why, but with the limited ports of entry as we have it right now, which is part of on the head of this administration, and then also with a lot of disinformation and other things going on among the rank and file of how to help these people. It's just become one big mess, and it's not sustainable.
And that's the thing about it. It's really not sustainable. And as much as I don't like the fact that we've curtailed our points of entry that are considered passable for people to get into the country, again, when you have several dozen countries that are teaching their people how to get here as quickly as possible and actually have other countries assisting them, to the point where even Mexico, that has a wall and gun turrets on their southern border, is allowing people access as long as they continue through to their northern border, because Mexico has even stricter asylum laws than we do. So for everybody that's screaming and yelling about all these other countries and how we need to take care of these people,
they've got stricter everything laws than we do.
And well, that's the thing. All these countries that we're talking about right now, they're allowed to have their immigration policies however they want them, and they're allowed to make them as strict as possible. So when we start looking at it, realizing, maybe we need to change a few things because we are being literally inundated with hundreds of thousands of people that want to come here every single year, and we don't have an unlimited amount of room, maybe we should start being more selective about the people that are coming in here. Other countries are allowed to do it. Why aren't we? Why is this about racism when we're seriously looking at the country going, look, can we really afford to take on everyone who wants to come here? Because the simple fact of the matter is the answer to that question is no. We are not meant to be the arc of the world. That's not what we were designed to be. That's not what we were founded upon. And all of these people that are screaming and yelling, we're the country that says everybody should have God-given and inalienable rights. Well, yeah, we are. We believe our rights were given to us by our founders, by our God, not our founders, but at the same time, these people were not born into this country, and they have their rights limited by their government. We can't control that. We shouldn't be trying to override the rights that their government has given them, whatever they may be. If they want to come to this country and they want to do so legally, great. But if you're following the instructions of Mexico, Nicaragua, and everybody else that's just, oh, amigo, just go to America, request asylum, you'll be good, they'll give you everything. No, we can't do that anymore. We are going broke. We have $12 trillion deficit as of right now. Actually, I think it's up to $20 trillion last time I looked. The unfunded liabilities are absolutely nuts. Nobody even talks about those anymore. But yes, let's just throw open the borders and allow everybody to come over here. You know the funniest thing, me being a libertarian, I hear this argument all day, every single day. oh my God, borders are nothing but imaginary lines on paper and we're just being cruel. Okay, so if borders are imaginary lines on paper, I know about 6 different Western countries that are doing terrible things to their people. So as of now, they all belong to America. You're an imperialist. You can't have it both ways.
Well, that's just the thing. So many of these people that are, want us to do everything we can to save every single person, every man, woman, and child that, that wants to be here, or even doesn't necessarily want to be here, but wants refuge for a time and wants to be saved from their life situation, whether that's because of their actual country or because of what they've made of their life, which, by the way, is also part of this sometimes. And then on the other hand, they want us to save all of them and be the world's savior in that regard. But then on the other hand, anybody who thinks we should, interfere in ways that actually save lives, like areas that are committing extreme atrocities against their citizens, then they're completely against that. And Americans we can't be the world's saviors, and we shouldn't go in and tell other people how to run their countries and live their lives and blah, 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 blah. So like you said, both ways. Like they want it both ways, depending on what it is you're talking about.
All right, so we have gone well past the bottom of the hour. We should probably take a really quick break because I've been getting really bad about having that being done on the shows that I co-host people with. Dan and I have been like commercial free for like a month, so I should probably play some commercials.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but he...
The right button, hang on.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
All right, folks, welcome back. That sound you heard was my co-host getting on to her son.
Sorry. Oh my
right.
gosh. He just did something to the dog that made the dog go insane, and he's supposed to be laying down. But of course.
That's the joys of having a child.
I mean, it sounded like the dog was dying, so...
Well,
that's why I was screaming, and I thought I hit the mute button, and I didn't hit it in time. Sorry.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I don't care. No, the funny thing is we have that Chihuahua. We've talked about this a few months ago when the dog first came into the house. I was diametrically opposed to yet another animal because we already have 2 dogs, 4 million chickens, a snake, and now we have 3 ducks. And so now we have a dog. So now we have 3 dogs. Well, I was diametrically opposed to this dog coming into the house until I saw the dog, and she's absolutely adorable. She's a full-blooded Chihuahua. She is as close to a teacup Chihuahua as you can get without actually being a teacup Chihuahua. She is also, however, the biggest drama queen on the planet. You look at her wrong, and she yelps like she's dying. So, I mean, I could be in the middle of doing something, and all the way across the house, I hear, rah, 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 rah. I'm like, what's going on? And John's like, nothing. I picked her up. I didn't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, damn drama queen. And I can look at her wrong, and she starts doing it. Like, if I give her the look where she knows she's going to be in trouble for something, she just tucks her tail, runs, and yipes all the way down the hallway. Yip, yip, yip. I don't even have to touch her. She's
awesome.
She's just such a mess. But, I mean, she's this... I call her the marshmallow. Her name's Lola, but she's this little bitty white, almost teacup Chihuahua with caramel markings. She's got, like, a caramel stripe down her back. She's got caramel circle around one of her eyes. She's just the cutest thing you've ever seen. And she is the biggest face licker ever. She likes to get me up at 4:45 in the morning every morning by licking my face, and if I don't get up right away, she bites my nose.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I understand.
I mean,
dogs
it's not,
yelping.
but it is.
No, I mean, it's really it's adorably annoying, is what it is, because I want to kill her in that moment, but then I get up and I get around, and she's like, "Pet me, hold me, love me," and she starts licking my face again, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, I wish I could stay here and do this all day, but I have to go get paid." And yeah, so I'm like a big softie when it comes to the dog, even though I was the one telling everybody that I didn't want the dog. Now I'm like, I'm really glad we got the dog. And my son's like, "See, I told you." I'm like, shut up.
You're like, yeah, whatever.
So anyway, enough about dogs and the 4 million pets that we have on the Robinson farm. So I want to talk about this a little bit because, Chucky Schumer has been in the Senate now for like 30 plus years. Apparently doesn't seem to understand what the overall job of Congress is, because he put out a tweet today talking about this legislation that we opened the show talking about, that he felt like the Republicans were using Congress as an excuse to not get anything done on immigration, because the president could fix this problem with his pen. Apparently, Chucky Schumer doesn't understand what Congress's actual job is, because they're the ones that are actually supposed to be crafting immigration legislation. That's why Donald Trump removed DACA in the first place. As a bit of a history lesson, let's not forget Barack Obama, 2009. I cannot be the one to do anything about immigration. This stuff has to go through Congress. Barack Obama, 2012. I can't be the one to do anything about immigration reform. This has to be going through Congress. Barack Obama, 2015. F it, we're going Schoolhouse Rock style, and I'm going to do it with my pen and my phone. And then Saturday Night Live rakes him over the coals, which was absolutely hilarious. But so Donald Trump comes in and says, this was unconstitutional. We know it was unconstitutional. I'm signing an executive order to get rid of it, and now I want you guys to fix it. Donald Trump brings everybody together, has a marathon session that everybody thought he wasn't going to be able to do, because let's face it, dude, 77 now, 75, 76 when he had this marathon session with them, had the cameras in there, showed how the sausage is made, and the Democrats walked. Now they're trying to do it again because this is their signature thing. They are the party that is supposed to be the pro immigration party. They're the ones that are supposed to be the ones that get this fixed, and that's why they can't let it get fixed now. And again, just like I said in the beginning of the show, if it were me, as the Republicans with the majority, I would put the legislation out where everybody can see it, tell everybody where it is, let them see exactly what's going to be in it, and say in 72 hours we're going to vote on this because we're actually trying to fix this. Because right now, the only thing they're talking about doing is making it possible to not separate families at the border. But the thing that nobody's talking about, again, is a good chunk of these children that are supposedly being ripped away from their families are, just like you were talking about a second ago, based on the reports that I've been able to see, nobody knows how many of these are actually unaccompanied minors. I would venture to guess a lot of them probably still are. There are also another group that nobody's talking about that are coming across with adult people. However, they're not actually their parents. And when the Border Patrol people figure this out, those are, again, children that are being separated because at this point they're concerned about potential human trafficking. So we have three different groups that are making up this thing. We have the zero tolerance policy, which is legitimately removing children from family members because again, nobody talks about this either, but this is a ruling from the Ninth Circuit in the 1960s that they ruled that people that once they were under arrest, their children could not be housed with them, period, end of sentence, end of discussion. This is what has now kicked in now that the Trump administration has started the zero tolerance policy because these people are being taken into custody. By this ruling, their children cannot be housed with them. The only way to change it is by changing or adding a law because there's nothing right now that accounts for that. Because there were already other laws that were passed in both 1994 and 1997. Who was in charge of those years, by the way? That actually made these things criminal acts. And now the Trump administration is actually enforcing those laws instead of saying, who cares? But what he's actually doing is shining a big bright spotlight on all of it and letting us see exactly how broken it is.
Well, and I think here is where even some conservatives make the distinction, though, is that if people are legitimately seeking asylum, and I know that legitimately, that I use that in quotes because I know that can be seen as genuine or disingenuous in just something to say so you don't get in trouble at the time. I do realize that. But this is where a lot of people, even within the Republican Party and on the right split, is that if you are seeking asylum, you are not trying to enter illegally. And so if you're not trying to enter illegally, then you are not being arrested. You are not being, detained for a crime, therefore should not be separated from your family under that statute, under that ruling, I mean. So that's still to be worked out. That this is part of the whole problem, though, is that there is so much going on. And like we keep saying, there's so many different factors and many different moving parts that it is so hard to make a definitive statement about any of this because it is chaos right now. And, unfortunately, this administration has not done a whole lot to make it a whole lot clearer to anybody, but also I'm not depending on them to, and I'm not even sure that is necessarily their responsibility. But I get the argument that it is, but I also am kind of like, well, but I mean, do they have to go spell it out for everybody all the time? Would it be nice? Yes, especially now that there's been so much, commotion over it, so much controversy. But that there is just so much to this that it just cannot be simply that there is no one simple answer or simple course of action that would make any of this, right or just or this or because we just don't know. Every situation is unique. Every case is different. And there are thousands of cases going on. So it's just, I just feel like everyone is starting to say a little too much with very little information and making very bold statements when they know very little about what is actually happening, especially on an individual level. So that's why I kind of, if anyone notices on Twitter, I've spoken out about a few of the outlandish things that have been said, but I'm mostly hanging back from this a little bit because I think that everyone is putting the cart ahead of the horse, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to a point. Sorry, I'm still just for some reason this whole Jack and Soledad O'Brien thing is still going around. I think it was.
Oh,
I think it was one of the accounts you actually pointed out. Proper Opinion. Actually tweeted out, "You let someone guy and bully you on your own website, and now they know you're a mark. Good luck with that."
Yeah, Proper Opinion is great. If nobody follows him, if you don't know who he is, go look him up on Twitter. He's at, isn't it straight up at Proper Opinion?
Yeah, it's at Proper Opinion.
Yeah, at Proper Opinion. He is hilarious. He is extremely smart, but he's also he will get very serious and cut to the chase about things, but he has a very tough skin and mostly will tweet to make light of things. And so if you need a dose of humor in your day, definitely follow him on Twitter, because he almost always has something that makes you laugh out loud. And he starts fake controversies like taking down Big Pickle and Big Candy. So anyways, it's just fun. Can we talk about something else that's pretty fun and inspiring, since we've ranted the whole time? Did you hear Chris Pratt's MTV speech last night, or night before last, whenever it was?
Yes, actually I did. It was pretty amazing.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, Jurassic World guy, Parks and Rec, just who seems about just on everything that I see him on, and I'm not just talking about his acting. I mean, whenever I see him interviewed or anything, he just seems about to be one of the most normal, all around, just nice guys. He just seems really great. He received the Generation Award at the MTV Movie and TV Awards last night, and he had these 9 rules, and they were kind of surprising to a lot of people. What?
I have the audio if you want me to play it.
You could do that if you want to.
It's up to you. I just letting you know I have it. I didn't know
Sure.
if you want. Okay.
Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to present this year's Generation Award to Chris Pratt.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I don't want to lean down. I want to thank Bryce and Aubrey. I love you both so much. Thank you, MTV, for this honor. Real quick thanks to my mom and my dad and my brother Cully, my sister Angie. I love you. I love our family. We didn't have a pot to piss in growing up, but we laughed our butts off every day, and we still do. And a special mention to my son, Jack, who will watch this one day. Kid, I love you. I love you more than anything in the world. And to the fans, I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you. This being the Generation Award, I'm gonna cut to the chase, and I'm gonna speak to you, the next generation, okay? I accept the responsibility as your elder, so listen up. This is what I call 9 rules from Chris Pratt, Generation Award winner. Number 1, breathe. If you don't, you'll suffocate. Number 2, you have a soul. Be careful with it. Number 3, don't be a turd. If you're strong, be a protector, and if you're smart, be a humble influencer. Strength and intelligence can be weapons, and do not wield them against the weak. That makes you a bully. Be bigger than that. Number 4, when giving a dog medicine, put the medicine in a little piece of hamburger. They won't even know they're eating medicine. Number 5, doesn't matter what it is, earn it. A good deed, reach out to someone in pain, be of service. It feels good and it's good for your soul. Number 6, God is real. God loves you. God wants the best for you. Believe that. I do. Number 7, if you have to poop at a party, but you're embarrassed because you're going to stink up the bathroom, just do what I do, lock the door, sit down, get all the pee out first, okay? And then once all the pee's done, poop, flush, boom. You minimize the amount of time that the poop is touching the air, because if you poop first, it takes you longer to pee, and then you're peeing on top of it, stirring it up. The poop particles create a cloud, goes out, and then everyone in the party will know that you pooped. Just trust me, it's science. Number 8, learn to pray. It's easy, and it's so good for your soul. And finally, number 9, nobody is perfect. People are going to tell you you're perfect just the way you are. You're not. You are imperfect. You always will be, but there is a powerful force that designed you that way. And if you're willing to accept that, you will have grace. And grace is a gift. And like the freedom that we enjoy in this country, that grace was paid for with somebody else's blood. Do not forget it. Don't take it for granted. God bless you. Please get home safely. Thank you.
Okay, so I just have to say, anytime anybody talks about poop, I think of Angie and Clay.
Well, here's what I love about this. Okay, so this is truly Chris Pratt, right? I mean, he made some really pertinent points. He gave some really good advice, imparted some great wisdom, but he mixed it in with his own, the way that he is, just like goofy, off the wall humor. And that broke it up a little bit, so it didn't feel like a lecture or a graduation speech or something like that. But I thought it was really brave. I think it's a million times braver for him to speak about God and about the sacrifice of, and if people didn't catch that, where he says, about grace, that like freedom that we enjoy in this country, the grace was paid for with somebody else's blood. That's talking about the death of Jesus Christ, about his crucifixion, and to say that, God is real, God loves you, God wants the best for you, about your soul, about praying, all of these things. I think it's a million times braver to say in front of an audience like that than someone getting up at the Academy Awards and bashing Trump or saying screw the Republicans. This takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts, I think. And then he also, of course, mixed it in with all of the funny stuff. And I'm not saying that it's just like so incredibly brave, because he has made this stardom for himself, and he's not going anywhere. And I don't think that he can, at this point, at least for the next few years, really be hurt, quote unquote, in Hollywood right now. He's still got deals for more Avengers and Guardians stuff, and he's got contracts for the final chapter of the Jurassic World movies. So, he is a little bit untouchable at the moment, and maybe that's part of why he feels comfortable saying so. So I won't kind of, I will acknowledge that fact, but it still goes against what most in his industry would do and say on that stage if given the chance and the spotlight like he was last night and the opportunity to give a longer speech. He never once brought up politics. He never once turned it into anything that could be considered negative, and he talked all about things that mean something to him as a person, and that should, especially the non-joking parts, that should mean something to everyone as a human being. And I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I really think so too. And honestly, I started seeing stories about this today, and I didn't really have a chance to listen to the audio until I got home and I got done editing something else. And that's when I ripped it and listened to it. I was like, okay, I'm talking about this on both shows. Because I spend a lot of time bashing Hollywood when they say crazy things like De Niro with his whole F Trump thing that he did, and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then we have this guy who basically, doesn't say anything political at all, but basically tells everybody exactly what he believes without making it political. That's what I expect from Hollywood. Honestly, I don't care what their faith is or anything else. I don't really care if they talk about that. What I'm tired of them doing is ramming politics down my throat. That's like the head of the Star Wars projects. Disney just got canned because they've made Star Wars social justice-y, and I haven't even gone to see Han Solo yet. That well, but I think,
yeah, and I think that like with this, he he wasn't overly preachy. I think he was pretty matter of fact, and he was making very true and honest statements for himself, and was recommending to others what works for the kind of person that he is and what makes him successful. So I come from scolding or preaching or anything. And I think even if you don't believe in a God, you could take his words in a positive and inspiring manner, just as I do when people talk about either other religions or talk about no religion at all, but talk about feelings of positivity and light and giving and, and aura or whatever. I take that positively when it's said in a positive way and when it is meant for positive effect. So I think everyone can take something away from this, and also just realize that he is just a darn good guy, and it is hard not to like him. And I am happy for his success, and I will continue to watch his stuff. I mean, that's just the way it is.
All right, so believe it or not, we are well back around to the
overtime
60-minute mark. So because we actually got a late start, so I wanted to get us at least a full 60 in. So we're definitely back around what would normally be the top of the hour if we'd started on time. So why don't you remind folks where it is they can hang out with you when you're not on the air hanging out with me?
Yes, come find me on Twitter at jhomestead, Facebook JR Homestead, and then as always, check out misfitspolitics.com.
All right, and of course, you can follow along with me on Twitter at Radio Host Rick. You can also follow along on Facebook at Rick Robinson. Actually, thanks to Michael's nickname, it's a lot easier to find me because I just put Kung Fu Rick all over everything. I also have an Instagram account that I just started, although I'm not a big fan of taking pictures of myself, so I'm not exactly quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but we'll figure something out. And on that note, we are officially out of time. I will be back probably here in about 3 or 4 minutes with the official start of the America Off the Rails show. But, you've got time to get a drink, stretch your legs, whatever you need to do, because there'll be some commercials we got to play anyway. It'll just take me a couple minutes to get everything reset. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. God bless.
And then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of...
There we go. All right, let's try this again. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good night.